Hello, welcome to Untangled, your knitting and sometimes crochet question and answer show with me, Stuart from the Wool Patch.
And me, Jimmy from Jimmy Does Knitting.
Good to see you again, Jimmy. The sun is shining here in the UK. We've got all our, well, I've got my summer. I've skipped spring now. I've gone straight to summer. Got my Shawn Mendes wonderful crochet that Colin made for me last year on my cardigan on. Love it. And you look as though you're in a nice big woolly jumper there, Jimmy. What are you wearing?
This is my summer jumper. It's just a made-up pattern. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. What is it? A nice light 4-ply?
Yeah. It's on a merino tweed by De Draadkracht, which is a dyer here. But yeah, it's really quite nice.
I love it. Love it. I love a bit of tweed too. Okay, right. Let's go straight into another week's worth of questions. Hope you're enjoying listening to the show wherever you're listening to us from, whether you're on a walk or whether you're doing the cleaning in the house. Or whether you're watching on YouTube. Hello, if you're watching on YouTube. Jimmy, when you listen to podcasts, where do you listen to them, if you even listen to them?
I'm a YouTube girly all the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of the ones on Apple or Spotify are just not so into. I like the visual of it, so I like the YouTube.
I agree, and they're almost a different type of audience on the podcast company platforms too. A different type of people, but they're a different type of show. But so yes, I think I listen to different things on podcasts, not knitting related, which is kind of why I wanted to do the show, to try and draw people over to the knitting side on listening on podcasts. Okay, here we go then. Question 1. Oh, nope. Let's try that again. That was last week's show. Oops, pressed the wrong button there. Okay, this is Bertus again. I love how you've given us loads of questions, Bertus. I have acrylic yarn that I'm trying to felt, and it's just not working. Okay, well, that's a quick answer coming up for you in a minute. I've used brushes and combos. It just looks like 80s Boy George crimped hair. Who was that also that had crimped hair? It's like one of the early Mark
Dead or Alive?
Yeah, there we go. Yes. Yeah. Right, let's go back. Boy George crimped hair instead of a nice fluffy pillow. Help. Right, go on, Jimmy. Straight answer, nice and quick.
It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And then, like, the long answer is it's the type of fiber you're using. The reason why wool and protein fibers specifically felt so well is because if you look at it on microscopic levels, they're like crimpy, right? They are the crimp. And so when you mash them together like dreadlocks, over time, they sort of tangle and weave into each other and become one and do that. And so that's what creates this nice solid felt. And when you use like superwash or something, they're essentially, well, one of the ways is covering it in plastic, because plastic doesn't have that crimp. Plastic doesn't have the snags on it, the little hooks that make it stick to each other. So that's great for putting in your tumble dryer, but not great for felting. It's specifically like a non-feltable thing, and it just has to do the structure of what you're knitting with.
Perfect. Yeah, you just got to go to wool, Bertus. If you want to do that felting technique, whichever felting technique you're doing, are you making bags that you then want to felt? So you knit them or crochet them, chuck them in the wash, they shrink down, felt, and then you get a beautiful woolen fabric. If that's what you want to do, you got to go to wool. It just will not work with acrylic at all. Yes, I'm really getting a great vision of what it looks like. I imagine Bertus really, going to town with trying to brushing it and stabbing it and all sorts and getting in a right sweat. But it's that simple, isn't it? If you don't want anything to felt, then you just knit with acrylic. Then you can chuck it in the washing machine on 40 degrees and it'll come out looking exactly the same, won't it?
Yep. Yeah.
Yep. So go to 100% wool. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Or alpaca. Or
any protein fiber, I think, will work.
Yeah, that's the key. Protein. Lovely. Okay. Nice and simple. Next question. From Jane. Good to have you back, Jane. I did put this in the translate to remember how to say it. I forgot. Adirondacks. What are your gotta have knitting tools? What are you don't even bother knitting tools? If you wish, you may apply these to crochet tools too. I'm hoping to have something new I don't know about. Oh, okay. Well, let's go. Let's do the positive first. What are your go-to gotta have knitting tools? Jimmy, what are your gotta have knitting tools? I don't think there are many, are there?
I don't have a ton, right?
No.
So I have I have a fanny pack that I use as a notions pouch.
Of course you do.
I carry it with me everywhere.
Love it.
And so let's discuss what's in there. I have light bulb stitch markers, which I can open up. They look like this.
They are a good stitch marker. I agree with those. They are fine. They're light. They're not bulky at all. Because there are billions of stitch markers out there, and sometimes
you can open them up.
Yeah, love them.
I think a light bulb stitch marker is a must. They don't need to be fancy.
Yeah,
these are actually quite affordable.
Yeah.
So I think that's number one for me. I have scissors.
Absolutely.
Little scissors,
yeah.
Of course. I have needles to weave in ends and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, just take them out. Let's have a look. Is it got a nice big eye and a nice blunt end?
Yes, and they come in different sizes.
Yeah.
I'll pull out a big one for you.
Yeah, the big. I think the bigger are the best. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
something
a nice point as well. That's blunt, but a nice little pointier too, isn't it?
Yeah, they have different levels of pointiness. Let's say I've accumulated several over time, and some are more pointy, some are more blunt. But the important thing is that they work.
And actually, hold up your case, Jimmy, because I think that's really important for your darning needles. Tapestry needles, whatever you want to call them. You need something like that, because I must sell over and over and over again darning tapestry needles to the same person once a month, because they're always losing them down the back of the sofa. So I end up selling the clover ones. The clover ones come in a lovely little plastic sort of tube like you had there. Mm-hmm. Because you can keep them in there. Then if you buy more brands, just keep them in that same pouch. But the pouch to keep your tapestry needles in is just as important as your tapestry needles.
Yeah, of course. And also same thing with the light bulb stitch markers.
Yeah.
I go through them like water.
Yeah.
And that's why I like the cheap ones. I have that. And then, surprise one, a thing of T-pins. Can you see this T-pin?
Oh, you've got that in your gotta have.
I have this in my gotta haves. I use these all the time because I use interchangeable needles a lot, and sometimes I just like pick stuff. They're like a weird tool.
I have learned something myself today, because I'm often losing that little pin that comes with your Knit Pro, with your stoppers, and that little pin to tighten up. I never thought about the T-pins to use for that.
Yeah, that's what I like to use them for.
Yeah. I've learned something today.
There's that, and then I have one more. I keep my tools pretty simple, but I think cable needles are always a big source of what do you use, what do you not use. Now, there is a Licca like cable needle wooden set that looks like little toothpicks that I've been like lusting over, which I do not have. So what I use is a double pointed needle. I think for a cable needle, a double pointed needle is a must-have. There are 1,000 different versions of cable needles. I've tried them all. I've tried cabling without a cable needle. for me, it's a double-pointed needle.
I completely agree. You can get those, like you were talking about, those ones from Licker. I think KnitPro do them too, in 3 different sizes, and they have some little. They're wooden, and they have some little nodules cut out of them, in theory, to grip the stitches so they don't fall off. And yes, you can get the cable needles with the V bit in, so the stitches slip down and then don't fall off. I think, again, it's down to personal preference. Some tools you'll buy and you'll go, oh, I just don't like that at all, and then you'll never use it again. So just get rid of it. Don't even keep it near you. Don't have them in your bag looking beautiful, even if you don't use them. You'll find what's best for you, but I agree, when you're doing cabling, sometimes that good old-fashioned double-pointed needle is just the best, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. That's what works for me. And what do you have on your must-haves?
Well, I don't really have much because I have a yarn shop, so I nick I nick them from the shop. So if I'm knitting something at home and I'm doing cabling, and then I'll just nick some double-pointed needles from the shop and put them back in. So I'm a bit lazy like that. I would put on there tape measure. You've got to have a tape measure lurking around.
Oh yeah,
all the time.
I have mine somewhere. It's lost, but yeah. Multiple tape measures, not just. But one tape measure.
I don't have anything fancy. This will make you gasp though. Stitch counter or row counter is, I still, when I'm teaching my classes and customers come in and they're new to knitting, I say you do need to buy one. Or have a method of how you're going to count your rows. So are you going to have a pen and pad, or are you a clicker? KnitPro do a great little clicky thing that counts if you remember to click it. But Jimmy, there is a company in America that is making really, really fancy stitch counters, and they are about $120.
I can't. That's why I go through so many of those light bulb stitch markers. That's how I count my stitches.
I'm just going to have a little pause because I'm just going to do a quick search for it, because I didn't get it ready, because it's only just popped into my head, to see what the brand is called.
This is outrageous, Stuart.
So it's called, if you want to get your phone out, Jimmy, and Google it while we're here. It's called a Nanu Nudge Row Counter, NANU, a Nanu Row Counter, and in the UK it will retail at about £99. I mean, who's gonna buy a row counter for £99 when all you're doing is pushing a button? I mean, it looks wonderful.
It's beautiful. No way am I ever buying that. That's crazy.
It's rows or sort of gold-plated brass alloy knobs, mineral glass lens. Oh, it is stunning. But that is what we're seeing in the yarn world now. Companies really making beautiful items, high-end items, and people do love them though. People, everyone's got their different price points, but for a stitch counter, whew, you're a knitter and a half if you're going to buy one of those, aren't you? But yes, a stitch counter might be something on your list. What did you say? Do you think about the classic 4-inch 10 centimeter gauge square? Would you have one of those in your stash somewhere, or do you just?
I've never had one.
Do you just put your tape measure out to measure your gauge?
I just tape measure it.
Yeah.
I think they're nice.
They are nice, yes, and sometimes they just help, I suppose, the newbie look at the square and count the stitches. Sometimes I don't want to work really hard, so I will put my Clover, because Clover do some great accessories for knitting. So I'll buy my Clover gauge that's got your knitting needle gauge in, so you can shove them through the holes, or your crochet hook. Most companies now are really have devised a better printing method, so you can always see the millimeter gauge on your needle, so it's not wearing off like the olden days where you then needed that gauge finder. Right, let's talk about what Jane said. So that was the positive ones. She also said, what you don't even bother with knitting tools. Well, maybe we've just said some of those already. Are there ones where you just wouldn't even bother with? Or I suppose you wouldn't even know, would you? Because you've struck it off your mind.
I have a controversial one. I don't think you need a crochet hook. I think a lot of people are like, throw that crochet hook in your bag, and I say, no ma'am, you don't need that. I never use it. I never felt the need for it. I don't even bother with it.
You've punched me right in there.
I told you.
Oh no! See, now we're going to argue here. Now I think the crochet hook is perhaps the most fundamental tool to definitely have.
Absolutely not.
Oh my lord, you're radical. You're radical. Jane, don't listen to him. Don't listen to him. You need the crochet hook. It's saved me so many times. So, are you? I suppose you know your stitch anatomy so well. So if you've got a drop stitch, you just putting your needle in and picking it up, are you? Or you just don't drop a stitch anymore? Yeah, you pro.
Oh yeah, I drop stitches all the time. I just pick it up with my needle, because how I knit is I pick. But yeah, I just pick it up and do the same thing. I just don't see the need to go for another tool for it.
Okay. That is controversial because where's my crochet? These, where are they? Are they lurking around? Hang on. You don't want to see the state of this desk. I think they just fell on the floor as we were talking about them. Typical. They're 3 little crochet hooks of just a few different sizes on a key ring. And they have saved me no end. Other tools, don't even bother with. Well, we kind of talked about the cable things, didn't we? But I think that depends on your level of cabling, really, doesn't it? How confident you are with cabling. Because if you are confident with cabling, then you know, double-pointed needle will do for you. But some people who are new to cabling might like those cable needles with the V in, so that the 3 stitches rest in that valley, wouldn't you say, Jimmy?
Yeah, I think they have a purpose. It's not for me.
Well, there we are, Jane. I hope that helps. I'm hoping you have something new I don't know about. Well, we have just told you that. It's the Nano stitch counter for several $100s. Let us know if that's on your Christmas list, Jane. And if you're listening and you get home, drop us a comment down below. If you're watching on YouTube, let us know your must-haves and your mustn't-haves. We might help people save a bob or two. Right, next question. Loving it. Okay, Antonio from London. Hi both, and thank you for doing this podcast. Oh, you're very welcome. It's always very helpful. My question is, how do you choose the size for a garment? Oh Lord. Oh, that's a nice question, Antonio. Wool always stretches and gets looser, so I end up with baggy clothes. Yeah, welcome to the club. That can happen. That's a hard question in a way, isn't it, Jimmy? Because that could be a lecture for a couple of hours, that question, because it's a great question and it's one that frustrates so many people. But can we do it in a 10-minute podcast? Probably not, can we?
We can give some guidance and we can give some help. So let's assume we do top down in the round wool garment is what we're talking about. We're not talking about plant fibers. We're not talking about camel. We're not talking about color work. We're not talking about all these other things.
I think those are a great idea. Yeah,
different things. To choose the size of the garment that you want is, I would suggest measuring something that you like that fits the way that this thing will work. So if you have a raglan sweater like ready to wear that you have that fits well, and you're making a raglan sweater, measure that, and then use the chest circumference is usually what I base it off of, and then knit that size. That's usually how you figure things out, is something similar that you know you like roughly the size of. And I think that's how I choose my size. So, if I know that I want it way oversized, then I'll, knit a size 5. If I want it to be tight, I'll knit a size 2 or whatever it is. And it's always a good guidance to measure the clothes that you have to see your preferences. So that's choosing the size. Now, this is, you're gonna hate me, this is a gauge thing again, right?
Okay, yeah.
As somebody who designs patterns, I can tell you what is usually the measurements are the finished measurements of the garment. So it is based on the gauge that I have given you in the pattern, and that we assume that the finished garment after washing and blocking will be at that size. And I think the mistake that a lot of people make, especially beginner knitters, is they kind of pick a size that they think will work, and then they knit it and it fits them perfectly, and then they block it. And the yarn does something that they didn't anticipate. The weight of the cable makes it expand. The stitch pattern comes from, this really tight rib to like an expansive rib, or, the sleeves grow 10 inches and you have to shorten the sleeves. Like, I think that a lot of those things are what's happened. So if you swatch, your gauge, and kind of how the yarn reacts. Now, I am one for saying that a swatch is a good indication, but it's not perfect. Especially with garments, the circumference that you're knitting it on, the length of the cable, all of it changes it. So, but if you have the swatch, hey, this grows a ton, or, the stitch pattern is going to do something funny. For example, if I were to knit, like on our last podcast, half fisherman's rib or brioche, and not make that thing, 4 inches too short, it would be down to my knees by the time that I was done with blocking. And so it's really about trying to understand how the yarn will perform once it's fully finished, and getting that to fit you. So if it fits while you're knitting it, it's not going to fit you afterwards, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, yes, of course. Yeah. And there's also an experience thing here, though, as well, isn't there? There's knowing what type of wools are like in general.
Yes.
Yeah?
A little bit. Yes. If we're assuming like a more basic top-down, it shouldn't make a tremendous amount of difference. But there is a thing where wool does have structure. So those more, let's say, rustic, or I guess, is it woolen spun? I always get them confused. Woolen spun, which
Woolen
are the
spun
more
is airy,
whatever wool,
lighter, wiry. Yeah.
Yes, those ones actually inherently have structure as you weave them together because of how the fibers interact with each other. And so those will usually grow, I would say, a little bit less than a worsted spun yarn, which would tend to grow a little bit more because things are aligned, and when they block out, they stretch out. So there is a bit of that, but I think mostly it's doing that swatch and trying to figure out how your fabric will perform. And so when you get the garment done, that it ultimately will perform in the way that you want it to. And yes, things do grow and shift over time. They change and they mold to your body. But overall, it shouldn't be a huge difference after you're done blocking.
Is this a lesson to us to get the perfect finished fit in doing your tension swatch? and also washing that tension swatch? Is it down to that as well? Because many of us will do tension swatches, especially if we're using a real high-end yarn. You'll want to get it right. So yes, you will swatch, but I have to say, I've never done a swatch and then washed it to see what the end result is like, and that's probably bad, isn't it?
That is bad. That is bad because it does change it.
Yeah, I know.
Because and it has to fully dry, because then it will also change. If you measure it wet versus when you measure it dry, it's a different gauge. But you also have to recognize you are knitting a garment, and depending on your size and potentially the stitch pattern, it's just gonna grow. Like a worsted weight garment in like an all over cable pattern is going to grow longer because it's heavy. Yeah. Right? If you're knitting stockinette in a fingering weight, it's not gonna grow as much probably, you know? So there is some amount that you have to assume that it's going to grow.
I also, looking at that question there, could we assume Antonio has also knitted with superwash?
Oh, superwash will throw you through a loop. Like, this is superwash, and I didn't realize it when I bought it. And I was panicked, and I have thrown superwash sweaters away because I've absolutely ruined them. But yes, superwash does grow if you just wet block it and you do not follow the washing and drying instructions.
And as I say, that question could go on talking about cottons, talking about different weights of yarn as well. It would be a nice question to have, if you were doing a lecture and a debate, wouldn't it, for answering that?
Yeah, that would go on for a while.
You did it brilliantly, Jimmy. Absolutely brilliantly. Hope that helps, Antonio. And Jane, have you bought that nano yet? Oh dear, right. It's episode 12. That means we have our little chat. So if you're still listening, that's great. We're just going to talk about our whips, or how we're getting on, or what we're doing. It just goes a bit more informal. If you don't like this part, see you next week on the next episode of Untangled. But Jimmy, what are you working on at the moment? How's your... We've got to have an update of your Prada sweater. Come on.
Yes, so I've been updating on my Instagram every time I get to a new stage, which has been about weekly, and I talk about it in my podcast, which are coming out a little slower because this project is actually taking up a lot of time. But I have finished the back part of it, and I've chosen a ribbon color. So I have one of 4 panels, the biggest panel, done. Yeah. It's hard to show this all.
Oh, it looks so good. I love those pops of that yellow and that sort of olive green in there too.
Yeah, no, it's great. Sometimes I love it, sometimes I hate it. I've woven in all of my ends on the back, so that took about 10 hours, but that is done. And then while we were saying stitch counters, I always use these. You can tell I've used different color ones to...
Brilliant.
Do every 10 I changed color, so I know that I could count. But I mean, this is a great way of how I keep track of my stitches, is just these light bulb stitch markers.
Brilliant.
To relate it back to our podcast. But yeah, so, I have this. I've started on the front.
I love it. You went for the midnight, the navy for your rib, didn't you? I know you posted something on there, and I was quite chuffed with myself because I went, "Oh, you should do it in pink, because it will look as though those chevrons are going into it, so they'll be long." And then you went, "Oh yeah, that's exactly what they did on the pattern," and I was like, "Oh, I feel like I was a designer for a little moment there." But you went for the midnight. I can understand why you went for that. Tell us why you went for that.
So it's color theory. So I'd use different colors than the original sweater because this is what's available to me, and also kind of what I wanted. And the deal is that the pink was a white, and that let your eye rest in the pattern. And this is very busy and
Yeah.
a lot of colors and a ton of work. And I didn't want the ribbing to really take away from it. I wanted it to frame everything a little bit. So I tried a couple of them out, and then I determined that this midnight color was probably the best for me because it just was like calm, and then it really let everything else shine. Now, some of you are psychopaths.
It stops
because they
the
all
eye.
wanted the blue.
It acts as a line, so my eyes forget about it, and then I immediately shift up to the colour.
Yes, I want you to focus on this entarsia that took me forever to knit.
Go on, you were saying some are psychopaths. Why? What do they say?
No, you guys are all insane. So the number one was this blue, which is a beautiful color.
Yeah.
But can you imagine this with a bright blue, collar and cuff and hem? It would be insane. I mean, it's a look, but it's not the look necessarily.
It would take away from all your beautiful intarsia, wouldn't it? It wouldn't pop. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I didn't think that it popped as much.
Yeah.
I just needed something to ground. And I thought that this was the right choice for me. I will release this chart at one point. So if you guys want to make it and do something bold, go for it. But for me, it was just the dark blue.
Yeah. So you're nearly there with it then?
No. I have the whole front to do and the sleeves.
When you do the sleeves, are you going to do 2 at a time?
No.
Can you do 2 at a time? I'm just working that in my head.
I can.
That would be a lot of
Should
bobbins. I would do 2 at a time.
It wouldn't be any more bobbins than this.
No, that's very true.
I don't know. Okay, what I'm thinking about with the sleeves is maybe because of the stitch accounts, is the chart bisects roughly. Sorry, I'm backwards here. I'm doing everything in the mirror. So the chart bisects roughly here. I'm wondering if I should do half the sleeve and then half the sleeve, or like one sleeve and then the other sleeve, so they mirror each other, or if I want to just go straight up the middle and do that. But the decisions for later about how the pattern works. In the original, it's up the middle, but
the same.
I don't know.
Up the middle
The
with the same twice.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah, it basically
these.
that olive. Yes, I get you like that. Yeah.
So,
I suppose it depends on how much work you want to do, because the other way is a lot more work, isn't it?
it's a ton of work anyway, so why not? If I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it. Right?
Yes. I'm just trying to. Maybe you better chart it and draw it, because would it make my eyes go a bit? Because you'll have one sleeve like halfway, and then the other sleeve. Would it be too much overload?
There's a lot of overload anyway. I don't know. I have to think about it.
Yeah. Would you even notice it with the way the sleeve turns? You probably wouldn't even notice, would you, if it was the same? Up like the original. And I'm saying, would it be a lot of work that just gets lost on many people that other way?
I don't know. It's what I want at this point, and what I'm willing to do.
Yeah, of course. So you're going to go on. You're going to go and do. That's the back, yeah? Did you say?
So this is the back. I need to do the front and the two sleeves.
Yeah. Is the front a V-neck or a round neck? I can't remember.
Round.
Oh, cool. Okay. And that means the round neck will be in midnight too?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. So when are you looking for it to be done by? Hoping? Winter?
I don't know. Steady progress. I think maybe in the next couple of months. Because this is all Westwool tandem, I was like, it would be nice to wear this to the opening of Stephen and Penelope, but that's in like 3 weeks, and I don't think that I'm going to get this done in 3 weeks.
No, with every goodwill in the world, blimey, that's a lot of work, isn't it?
No.
Are you still enjoying it though? Because it's such a creative process. It must be fun.
It's a lot of fun. It's colors I never use.
Yeah.
It's intarsia, which is a technique that I really enjoy knitting. So yes, it's a lot of fun. And if it wasn't fun, I wouldn't do it.
No, of course. Oh, I love it. Oh, brilliant. Well, keep it up. We'll keep inspiring you on. And we'll also keep holding you accountable. Every time we have our little whip chat, we'll be like,
I'll keep you updated.
Where are you with that Prada?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Obviously, I had a finished object last week, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
Loving that. So now it's back to my crochet. I don't think I've shown you the crochet. I can't remember. Can you remember?
I don't think we've seen your crochet.
Can you remember all these squares?
Oh, I remember the squares,
Yeah.
and then
Wow.
it was only written on one size because he didn't give the right amount of
That's
ease
it.
or grade the pattern correctly.
Yes.
And then you were like, had these beautiful squares, but
Yeah.
didn't know what to do with them.
So I think we had a conversation about that, and I went for one more round. So the original finished there, and I just did loads of trebles into it, and then a 3, 3, and 3 to get round the corner. Loads of trebles, and that actually has helped really well. Well, now I've started crocheting it together, and look at that.
Are you going to make it into the garment? I thought you were going to abandon it and do a pillow or something.
No. I was like, this is going to work. This is.
Okay.
So I did the extra round on all the squares, and I'm now, for viewers, listeners, I have sewn the front together and I've sewn the back together. So it's a 2 square on the front, 3 rows. So 2, 2, and 2. Look.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of work.
That's the back. Let's turn it around. I'm going to stand up. How
That's
beautiful!
nice.
How beautiful is that? And it kind of fits because the ribbing obviously will be what, about there? No, a bit lower. Oh, I'm on the wonk. There we go. The ribbing will probably go up. So, and you can see my belt buckle. So that's, and then I might put a bit of rib on the bottom there. So it kind of works. And then this is the side.
Good, you went for a full panel in between.
Yeah, and that's where my armpit will be. Look,
Lovely.
not far off at all, is it? And then, so the ribbing will be there. Then I have these half effects, half a square, which is the shoulder somehow. I don't know how that's going to work. Oh, because that is supposed to. Well, it's hard to do it when you're looking that. This is not a mirror image, so I keep going the wrong way. In theory, when you pick up and do the ribbing and pick up, it looks circular. But of course there isn't any instructions for that bit. He just says pick up the stitches and do your ribbing. And I'll be able to use, for the first time, I think last week we were talking about crochet ribbing and how to create that effect. So I'll be able to put into practice the 2 front posts, 2 rear posts. But I love what I've created. It's now at the crunch point of trying to make that garment, and I think that is when it will be, does it work or does it just get chucked completely? It won't ever get made into anything else. It will just get chucked.
Okay.
I think that's the way, isn't it, when you're creative like that? Is it, or is that just me? It's either or. If it doesn't work, I'm not going to turn it into something else. It's just, that's it. I don't want to see it ever again. Is that what you do?
I don't know. I guess it depends.
Yeah.
Sometimes the idea needs to marinate. Sometimes you need to like do something, and then if it doesn't work out, you sort of put it away, and then it usually transforms into something else. But I mean, I've thrown full garments away, so which is like sacrilegious, but it could be whatever.
I know. I can already hear Irene, who's one of my big knitters at the shop. I can already hear her going, "Oh, you chuck a whole garment away?" Because she'll that doesn't work, and unravel it all and re-knit something again. I'm like, no, that will just all go in the bin. And are you gasping at home at the thought of that, or are you? Yeah, we'll just chuck it in the cupboard. I think if you want to do it, because you come back to it again and then you would perhaps work on it. But the ones where you chuck it in the cupboard and then you 2 years later you're like, oh, I've still got this. Oh no, yeah. And that's where that whole fix it, frog it February, finish it February came actually into good play, because it really made me go further with this. I have enjoyed doing the crochet for sure. There is something about crochet. I love the rhythm of it, and it's so much quicker. When we were doing the bunting for the shop, the crochet bunting, you could do one whole what's the posh word for the bunting? Triangle. There's a posh word. What is that called?
I don't know.
Well, that escapes me now. Someone's going to put it in the comments below. But when you do one of those triangles in crochet, you can knock one out in about 20 minutes. But the knitting one, because the rows are so much denser and shorter, especially in garter stitch, that's like takes 2 or 3 evenings to do one.
Yeah.
Oh, it almost came to me then. I want to use the word F.
Filigree?
Hey?
Is it filigree?
No. It's something. But there is still something I love coming back to knitting, and I just want to get my wooden needles out, or my metals, and snip knit away and do something. But yeah, so I'm feeling positive at the moment. Whether it will look, I still don't know how you can get this square turning into a circular bit, but maybe when I pick up the stitches it will pull it and make it look round. What does your designer have? It does.
I've designed a sweater that's coming out next month, June.
Oh, cool. Oh, yeah.
In Making Stories, and it has a square neck because of the stitch pattern, but when you wear it, it looks round.
Oh, maybe I have to wait then till you release that pattern and have a look. Is that your next thing that's coming out, work wise, knitting wise? What have you got? Can you give us the lowdown on anything?
So that magazine's coming out in June, and then
you're in a magazine.
Hoping
your pattern's going to be in a magazine. Cool, Jimmy. What is the magazine? Tell us.
Making Stories.
I know that magazine, yeah.
I'm in the last ever issue.
Oh no, they stopping?
They're shutting down. It was supposed to come out in fall, and she rushed everything up because she's just shutting the business down.
Oh no, that's another book that's finishing. What's the other one that's finished too?
Pom Pom finished.
Oh, the Pom Pom finished, yeah. And then the crochet one, Murit, finished too after 4 or 5 books. What a great shame that we... Oh, but you're in it though. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
How did that come about? Did she ask you to design something for that, or she just said, we want one of your designs?
It was a design submission thing. So the magazines every once in a while will put out submission calls, and if I have a good idea, I'll put something in. If not, then not. And sometimes I recycle them. If they get rejected for something, I usually try to put them in with something else. There's one for Lina, which by the time this comes out will not be open anymore, but John Auburn has one, I think, open until July.
Yeah.
For 2 different ones, so I think I'm going to try to get in on some of that.
Oh, good on you. Brilliant. Oh, great. And you working on anything new that we can have a little sneak peek at?
Not right now. These projects are taking me forever. So I have that in my Guernsey, which I'm not going to publish. That is taking forever because it's basically like knitting a sock, but like full thing with cables in every fourth row. But yeah, I do have the metaphysics is in testing, and I want to make a shawl. I was going to try to do it in May, but I might publish it in June. We'll see. But I haven't even cast that on yet.
You got an idea for the shawl? Give us a little. What are you thinking about for this shawl then? What's running through your head designing wise?
I have a Sandywell scarf that I sold 4 patterns of, which flopped. But it's made with Manchalopi, which is an unspun wool in this sort of woven texture that I think is really beautiful. So I'm modifying it slightly, and then I'm going to make a shawl version of it because I think that might sell a little bit better.
Oh, cool.
And plus I just want to make it. So I'll go for that.
Oh, brilliant. All right. Well, keep us updated as we go through our Untangled episodes. Hopefully, I reckon I'll try and get this done in the next sort of month because I'd want to be then dyeing it in Malavan blue. I want to dip dye it so I get a fade from dark blue up to light blue. So that'll be fun to dye that. So I then want to try and get that ready to wear for the summer. Or not. It's a bit. Oh dear. And then I need to. Oh yes. Did you see the jumper that was released last week by Alicia Plummer?
Oh yeah.
It was a beautiful, simple top down, like in half broken rib or something like that. But it was all.
It was just a seed stitch.
Yeah. Looked really nice.
Brooklyn Tweed also has something similar called like the Forester or something that I've been eyeing. It's just like drop shoulder, seed stitch, super comfortable, like basic. It looks nice. Her husband also sells it very well.
Well, so, that's the picture. That's the picture I saw, and I thought, everything looked so good about that. The pattern, the hem, the view.
She does have really good menswear patterns. I've knit one of hers before. She does have really solid patterns. So it's one of those, do you like the model or do you like the pattern?
I know.
The answer is yes.
It sells, and it made me want to knit that. So that's bumped up, because I was going to redo the Hume again, but now that's just bumped it up for me, and I'm going to start that because that will be a long-term knit ready for September and October. And it's one of those that you'll just switch off because it's top down and it's that same pattern all the way through. Mm-hmm. So I might start that soon because I'll want something on my needles because it's nice to go from crochet to knitting. So
some of that West Yorkshire spinners that you have.
Absolutely, yes. So I'm going to go that, and then I need to get ready for that new one for when the release of Morris comes out, which I reckon is going to be August, which is this brand new double knit in the William Morris colours, this lovely sort of muted colourway. Is
that the BFL one that we saw?
Yeah. So
that was a good one.
I've got to start looking for some double knit patterns because I'm not too sure whether I want to do it in their patterns because they're pushing something heavily colour work, and I don't think I want to do colour work with that. So yes, I need to get looking for double knit patterns for sure. All right, Jimmy, it's been great. We're nearly done an hour for this one, so I hope you've enjoyed. I know. I hope you've enjoyed the extra little chit chat at the end. If you're still walking the dog, that's a great walk for the dog, nearly an hour. So this is going out sort of end of mid-May sometimes. We might have a summer break. Depends on how much travelling Jimmy's doing and where you're off to or where you currently are. But then someone might be listening to this in 2 years' time and it makes no sense to them at all. But it's been a great episode. Thanks for your time, Jimmy, and see you on the next one, whenever that is, of Untangled. Thanks, Jimmy. Cheers. See ya.
Thank you. Bye.